All right, and with that story, we want to engage the former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, who is here with us in studio. Thank you for coming, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you, Sam.
And let's begin on that question about the President complaining about the support when it comes to
that one. Okay.
To the Haiti mission. What are your thoughts?
Very clear thoughts. The Haiti mission is a failed mission, misadvised. We said as opposition, right from the word go, that we should not have taken our boys to Haiti. When we attended the funeral of one of them somewhere near Kitengela, we even called on William Ruto to make sure that our boys come home. He didn't listen. And now he's complaining to the whole world. In fact, what you should do, because I'm a foreign relations practitioner, Sam, I just want you to just find out how many heads of state attended that William Ruto convened high segment on Haiti. You'll be amazed. The whole thing is a disaster. We insist that our boys should come back home, and without a proper mandate of the UN Security Council, whose responsibility it is to ensure world peace and security, William Ruto has no business trying to now cry over spilled milk. Let him bite the bullet and bring our boys back.
How does that happen? As a former Foreign Affairs Minister, how does that happen? Because the country has already expressed confidence. Now the President is complaining the support that was promised has not come. How do you pull out?
Who promised that? Who promised that funding? Can I tell Kenyans that on the day the Gen Zs went to visit Parliament, that was the day the first batch to Haiti actually left, against a court order, which was very clear that that mission was misadvised. So first of all, you're going against a home-based situation advised by our courts of law. Of course, that goes to tell you that this is one administration that has no regard for constitutionalism, for the rule of law, blatant, and now they've been unmasked at the world level. This is a failed mission.
That's what I'm asking, because at the end of the day, we may have our internal disagreements, but the image of the country
is very important.
Is on the spotlight.
How
do you pull out?
I'll just tell you, for example, how many heads of state visitor actually attended this William Ruto convened high-level segment on Haiti? You just find maybe third secretaries, second secretaries, and him lecturing to people who are actually clearly not even interested. I mean, when Donald Trump took over, he said they're not interested in this mission. And so without the support of a major UN security member, right, with a veto power, and I see Ruto also complaining about that Africa should have 2 veto powers and the rest of it. The story about the reform of the UN Security Council has been on for a very long time. And so it's really just talking to the world, talking hot air, literally. I can tell you that a professor from Texas texted me this afternoon and saying, of course, he overdid it because he said William Ruto was seen walking across to the UN. That's a good thing. Even Macron was actually walking. But the important thing is nobody's listening to William Ruto and to Kenyan story. Because they also look at these things. You want to reform the UN Security Council. You want to ensure international peace and security. And you are involving yourself in regional conflicts. The world is watching what William Ruto's administration is doing in the Sudan, for example.
So if you're saying that, and you haven't counted how many heads of state were in that address.
You'll be surprised if there are any. In fact, it could just be William Ruto alone.
Wow. So
I want to be proved wrong.
All right, we'll check that. But as you say that, so are we where we are because of President Ruto, or Kenya has really fallen in the rank of nations in the world?
The mission to Haiti, I reiterate, was misadvised. It didn't even at the very initial stages even get the nod of the UN Security Council. Without the UN Security Council, that was a mission impossible. And by the way, we must remind ourselves, at independence, we are seen to be sending Kenyans who are as dark as the Haitis to go and kill each other. That in itself looked very bad. Remember, there were Haiti citizens demonstrating outside New York and said the puppet Ruto, for example. This has actually come out to be true, all right? So, again, misapplication, misadvice on Kenya's foreign policy. I must tell you, Sam, that I had the opportunity to address the UN General Assembly, UNGA, a record 7 times when I was a foreign minister. So we know these things.
Okay.
And nobody's taking William Ruto and Kenya seriously. So the image of the country is actually very important.
You haven't answered my question, Your Excellency.
Yes.
Because I'm asking, if the image of the country is fading,
yes,
is it because of William Ruto or the steps or the decisions you've taken as a country? And if that's the case, which ones?
You know, normally, it is William Ruto who chairs a Kenyan cabinet, right? It is William Ruto, sometimes maybe on advice of a foreign minister, in this case, Madividi, right? And they take a position. I'm telling you, the image of the country, since Kenya Kwanza took over, has suffered immensely. And with that, of course, it's all of us. It's all of us. So when Ruto is talking there, by the way, even look at the attendance at the General Assembly. Yeah, if it was President Lula, for example, when he was addressing the UN, you'd have seen the level of attendance, or Donald Trump himself. Yeah, but come and talk to yourself, talk over the same old stories and about which nobody is interested. The reform of the UN Security Council
Yep.
and the fact that Africa should have 2 permanent seats. I don't think anybody is listening. So there must be a re-engineering. Over that, I agree with William Ruto. Reimagination of the UN Security Council. We must remember that after the Second World War, right, that is when the UN came to be.
Right.
And you cannot think of a reformed UN Security Council without, for example, bringing on board Japan and Germany. All right? So these are issues that are ongoing.
Yeah.
But I think nobody is listening to William Ruto. Of course, Africa is important.
It's important that you're saying that you agree with President William Ruto on that question of reforming the structure of the UN, because he's suggesting that there should be 2 permanent seats in the UN Security Council. If you're of the same thought, what should the process look like in convincing?
You start at the level of the AU Commission, right? Let Africa speak with one voice in Addis Ababa and wherever. And by the way, I must tell you, when I was foreign minister and subsequently when I was in education, it was when Kofi Annan, the late Kofi Annan, came here and promoted Nairobi to a UN headquarters. And I think going forward, we might be able to witness Nairobi hosting bigger delegations at the level of the United Nations, bigger than, of course, what started that Mustafa Tolba as UNEP and others. So the UN is important to us. Nairobi is a UN headquarters. And therefore, we should expect a situation where the Kenyan head of state, talking at the level of the UN, is given recognition. But I'm sorry, if he talks as William Ruto, this is William Ruto's problem, all right? Because he has not consulted with his colleagues at the level of the AU. So there's an AU resolution. He should be referring to an AU resolution on the need for Africa to get 2 permanent seats, for example.
And of course, we'll be talking more about some of these developments and so much more which is affecting the country. But first, let's focus on a story which is about Kenya and Somalia's diplomatic rivalry has flared up again after viral videos showed unruly fans desecrating the Kenyan flag during last weekend's CAF Champions League clash between Kenya Police FC and Mogadishu City FC. And the clips showing the flag being stomped on and kicked around have sparked public outrage and official condemnation. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has ordered the arrest, prosecution and deportation of the culprits. Somalia's ambassador to Kenya, Jabril Ibrahim Abdullah, also denounced the